ఆస్ట్రేలియా సంగతి తెలియదు కానీ యూఎస్ అండ్ వెస్ట్రన్ వరల్డ్లో హే గూగుల్ ఎలక్సా చాలా ఫేమస్ అయిపోయింది. అంటే వాటిని బిల్డింగ్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్లో పార్ట్గా పెట్టి దే కెన్ కంట్రోల్ లైటింగ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. దాన్ని ఏం అడిగినా కూడా ఇట్ టెల్స్. ఐ థింక్ సో అవి ఇంక్లూడ్ చేయటం అవుతుంది. అంటే నేను ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నానంటే ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎలక్సా ఆర్ అంటే బై అమెజాన్ ఆర్ గూగుల్ బై hey Google by Google, you ask one question, who is Jesus? There will be absolute silence. Rendu missions for ask who is Buddha, it tells something. Ask who is Rama, it tells something. Ask who is Muhammad, it tells something. But if you ask who is Jesus, there will be absolute silence. They were made like that, to be silent. The reason is the whole world is really disturbed to speak about Jesus. We are living in that kind of world. Electronics are made like that. Gadgets are made like that, to be silent. That's one example. The other example is, throughout the world, the most disturbing and uncomfortable position is when you start speaking about Jesus or when somebody asks you about Jesus. That's the most uncomfortable situation. ఎక్కడైనా సరే గే మ్యారేజ్ గురించి చాలా కూల్గా మాట్లాడతారు. పెద్ద విషయం. ఒక ఇంకో గర్ల్ పార్ట్నర్ ఉన్నదని చెప్పుకోవడం చాలా కూల్గా మాట్లాడతారు. ఒక బాయ్ ఇంకో బాయ్ పార్ట్నర్ అని చెప్పడం పెద్ద విషయం కాదు, చాలా కూల్గా మాట్లాడతారు. బట్ ద మూమెంట్ యూ ఓపెన్ యువర్ మౌత్ అబౌట్ జీసస్ క్రైస్ట్, there will be completely disturbance and you can see the tension. People are totally uncomfortable. So we are living in that kind of world. మనము అలాంటి ప్రపంచంలో జీవిస్తాం. సో డీసెంట్ ప్రజలు అన్కంఫర్టబుల్ అయితే కనుక పీపుల్ హూ ఆర్ అవుట్ అండ్ అవుట్ దే ఆర్ అటాకింగ్ క్రిస్టియన్స్. ఆల్ ఓవర్ ద వరల్డ్ there is an attack on Christianity that you should understand, all over the world. And we have now apps that actually tell you whenever the attack has taken place on Christians anywhere in the world. There are websites that give you a weekly report on the number of attacks on Christians all over the world. And there are annual analysis where Christians are attacked most. Like analysis on it. One such website is called Open Door Ministries. Okay, so what they do is every year they try to analyze and find out where the Christians are attacked the most. In the last 18 years, number one country still exists to be North Korea, where Christians are attacked the most, North Korea. And 2017, number 2 is Afghanistan. Number 3 is Somalia. Number 4 is Eritrea. Number 5 is Yemen. So these are the countries where the attacks are going on. Syria, where you might have found out that a lot of kids have been killed in a large scale, it is in 15th position. Saudi Arabia, where Bible cannot be carried, if they find the Bible in the airport or at the immigration, they'll throw it off, they'll burn it. It is in the 12th position. So most of you are from India, so you must be wondering where is India in this list. It must be shocking for you. India is in the 11th position, worse than Syria, worse than Saudi Arabia. Okay, that's the present situation, worse than UAE. And as per the analysis and things like that, by the year 2019, India would be either in 5th or 6th position in the world as far as attacks on Christianity is concerned. So they are planning to rout Christianity in India. So that's the situation. So that's India, but in Australia, though it is considered to be a Christian country, you know it for sure, you know better than me, that you can't openly speak about Christ in this country. You can't openly declare that you are a Christian. In the sense, you have legally right to declare, but people will look down at you. People will mark you. That's the situation. So when it's a kind of a battlefield now. You should understand. The battle all over the world. I was in UK in the month of March. United Kingdom is the country that brought gospel to India, and United Kingdom is the country which actually made this nation Australia. And you are in New South Wales, which is actually a mimicking name that has come from Wales, that is in United Kingdom. Okay, it was a Christian country. It was, but not now. I was in a city called Barnsley. Barnsley is a place where John Wesley did a lot of ministry 400 years ago, and he preached in every street in Barnsley, and the total people have become Christians. And there is one particular intersection where 7 roads meet, and that's where John Wesley preached a couple of times. So I had a desire to preach on the streets. So I spoke to the pastor and said, can I do a street preaching on Good Friday? That's what I said. And the pastor said, well, you can, but I need to take permission. He had to take permission from the city council, and he had to take from the police, and with a lot of influences, finally he got permission. Over 400 people heard the gospel on that day. 60 people came to the church for the first time after hearing that message in the evening. But I was attacked by many people. Several people said, don't you have any other work? That's how they said on my face. On my face when I was preaching. That's the situation. So, when I came to know the statistics of Barnsley, it was really worrying. Number 1 religion in Barnsley is Islam. Number 2 is atheism. Number 3 is Hinduism. Number 4 is Sikhism. Number 5 is Christianity. It's less than 2%. So that's the situation. So though Australia is a Christian country, England is a Christian country, Christians have become a minority. But let me tell you one thing. God is preparing a battleground. When God is preparing a battleground, it will be like the Gideon's warfare. When Gideon had a huge army to attack Midianites, God said, I don't want this much army. And he finally reduced it to 300. And it was 300 who fought against 136,000 Midianites and won. So the battleground is now clear, working out. So my simple question is this: on which side you are going to be? So till now, you can be a Christian like under the carpet. చాప కింద నీరులాగా మనం క్రైస్తవులుగా కొనసాగవచ్చు. బట్ ఇప్పుడు అలా కాదు. నువ్వు అట ఇట చాలా క్లియర్గా చెప్పాల్సిన పరిస్థితి. సో we have to be very much clear about our position and about our lives. ఒకవేళ అలాగ లేకపోతే కనుక we need to check. So I thought of looking at the battleground as far as the end of the universe is concerned. For that, the best writer in the Bible is John. John is exclusive in several ways. Number 1, he is the only disciple who had a natural death. He is the only disciple who had a natural death. Of all the 12 disciples, 1 committed suicide and 10 people were martyred by others. John lived 100 years and he died. There were attempts on John, many attempts. There was an emperor called Domitian. He put John in an island where there are no human beings. He was left to different kinds of animals and insects, but he survived that, and that was the time he wrote the book of Revelation. He was once thrown into boiling oil, but nothing happened. He was once thrown into a well where there are poisonous snakes, and nothing happened. He was once tied to a tree trunk, and they cut the tree trunk, but nothing happened to this person. God wanted John to be there towards the end of the 1st century, and that's why he protected him. John is so exclusive in the second reason, like Jesus considered John as his brother. Of course, he calls everybody brothers, but John is an exclusive brother. In a very sentimental and the critical position when he was dying on the cross. When he saw his mother, Jesus was having other brothers that were born through Mary. యేసు ప్రభు పుట్టిన తర్వాత మరియమ్మకి ఇంకా వేరే కుమారులు పుట్టారు. సో వాళ్ళు మరియమ్మను చూడాలి, కానీ he did not give them that responsibility. He said, John, that's your mommy, you take her. So history says when John was looking after the church in Ephesus, that was the time when Mary died, and he buried Mary at Ephesus, and he was also buried in Ephesus. It was in 323 Constantinople who dug all these tombs and took away all the relics to Istanbul. At that time it is called Constantinople. He wanted everything to be around him. That was the intention. But that's the second reason why John is exclusive. Third reason is John wrote 5 books, and he wrote all the 3 tenses of Jesus Christ. Gospel speaks about the past tense of Jesus, how Jesus came, died, and rose again and gave us the salvation. That's past tense. He gives the present tense of Jesus, how Jesus possesses us and gives us purity in 3 epistles, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John. He gives the future tense of Jesus, what he would be doing in eternity and how he would establish the eternal kingdom in the book of Revelation. The past, present, and future. No other person could give a detailed picture about Jesus Christ in these 3 tenses. ఈ 3 కాలాల గుండా ఎవరు వర్ణించలేకపోయారు. యోహాన్ ఒక్కడే బాగా చేయగలిగారు. చాలా మంది బుక్ ఆఫ్ రెవల్యూషన్ ని బుక్ ఆఫ్ హారర్ అని అనుకుంటారు. lot of people don't try to read it, and a lot of people with inquisitive nature, they would like to know, can you tell something about book of Revelation, particularly with one intention. They want to know when the second coming would take place, so that in the last minute they can prepare. Well, let me tell you one thing. Book of Revelation can speak about the church, but it cannot speak about you. The church may be there for 50 years, but what guarantee is there that you will be there for 5 minutes? So everybody has to be ready on his toes. That's it. So if you are ready, book of Revelation is not a book of horror, it's a book of hope. So how do you look at that book speaks what you are. Okay, that's the whole difference. Now let me give you the gist of the whole book of Revelation. Book of Revelation has 22 chapters. If you are able to read the first chapter, it gives the synopsis of 22 chapters. Okay, it gives the synopsis. In fact, in the first chapter, it introduces the person who is the key as far as the whole book of Revelation is. The key person is Jesus Christ. The hero of the drama in the book of Revelation is Jesus Christ. If you are on the side of Jesus Christ, you are only reading a book, the end is known to you. It's something like this. Have you ever watched a cricket match whose result గేమ్ గెలిచాము అని తెలిసినటువంటి మ్యాచ్ కనుక చూస్తుంటే మధ్యలో ఎంత టెన్షన్ ఉన్నా కూడా మీరు టెన్షన్ పడరు. యూ టేక్ ఇట్ వెరీ లైట్ because you know the end. Because you know that. Book of Revelation is like that. If you know the end, and if you are part of the team between 19 and 22nd chapters, 6 through 18 chapter will not be a horror. I'm giving you the picture. If you are sure that you will be part of the team between 19 and 22, you will not be worried about the horror between 6 and 18, because that's not your part. That doesn't belong to you. Adi meeku chendindi kaadu. So if you are sure of that, then only do. If you are not sure, probably this is the moment we can think about it. So chapter 1, it introduces the person. Chapter 2 and 3, any hero will have a team to work with, a possession. So chapter 2 and 3 is the possession, his team, with what he works. ఆయన దేంతో పనిచేస్తాడు, ఆయన టీం ఏంటి, అది చాప్టర్ 2 and 3. Chapter 4 to chapter 22, his program. So 3 P's: the person, the possession, and the program. Program ni final గా మళ్ళీ పార్ట్స్ చేయొచ్చు. Chapter 4 and 5 his program in heaven. His program in heaven. Chapter 6 to chapter 18, his program on the earth. First in the heaven, then on the earth. Chapter 19, his program at the time of second coming. At the time of second coming. Chapter 20 to chapter 22, his program during the eternity. That's it. So that's the program of God. And he's so kind enough, he wanted to give the total program. Hey, this is my program. And in this program there are two teams. One team works with me and one team works against me. On whose side you are. As simple as that. No ambiguity. No thinking just like that. You must be sure. Anukuntunnanu ante kaadu. You must be so sure whether you are on his side or on the other side. So, to know on whose side we are, the best way is to read the second and third chapters. Second and third chapters lo 7 churches gurinchi rasaru. 7 churches. Okay? These 7 churches are real churches at the time of John's writing. And these 7 churches are in the country called Turkey right now. At that time it is called Bithynia. Okay? And if you want to locate these churches and Google it, it's very simple. If you Google it and come to Turkey, you come to its capital Istanbul. If you go little west on the coast, you find a sea coast called beach city called Miletus. If you go little north of Miletus, there is a region, the whole region. It's a state in Turkey. It is called Denzili. Denzili. In that region are the 7 churches. Now, this is another piece of information. Till 6th century, Bithynia, that is now the Turkey, was fully Christian. Fully Christian. In 115 AD, Pliny the Younger, he writes a letter to the Emperor Rome. His name is Tacitus. He writes, I'm sorry, all the temples here are closed down because everybody is following Christ. He writes a letter. So the whole country is a Christian country till 6th century. But today, if you go there to Turkey, there are no Christians. There are no Christians. And I'll give you another piece of information. Very recently, like 3 months ago, the US dollar rate in India has shot up to 75 rupees. And there was a lot of disturbances. And all these disturbances in the hike of the dollar rate and all of it, whatever it is because of one person. It's because of one person. One person. And that person is from North Carolina. And that person, Andrew from North Carolina, is a missionary in Turkey. And he was taken by the government and he was put under house arrest for several years. Mike Pence, the Vice President of America, 1 year back, wrote a letter to the Turkey president. He is innocent, leave him off. They were not willing to leave. 6 months back, Trump gave a final warning. If you don't leave that fellow, I'm going to stop my sanctions to you. He stopped. Because he stopped the sanctions, Turkey currency has lost its value. And India gets most of its fuel from Turkey. Because the fuel price has increased, the dollar has to increase. Qatar has to pay $15 billion to Turkey to get a balance. All this is because of one man called Andrew. When they finally released Andrew, then again the dollar became stable. See how the whole world politics are around the relation with Jesus Christ. I'm giving you the information that's very prevalent today. So we are in that kind of world. When you are in that kind of world, what will be your place? So these 7 churches in Denzili are real churches, but today there is no Christianity. And Jesus was writing 7 letters to these 7 churches. And these 7 churches were existing at that time, And all the 7 churches were having one or the other issue. Edo oka issue. So he was writing very practically. All the 7 letters to the 7 churches are practical. అంటే వాళ్ళకున్నటువంటి ఇష్యూని బట్టి రాసుకుంటూ వచ్చారు. వాళ్ళకున్నటువంటి ఇష్యూ. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ స్మిర్నాలో there are lot of persecution. పెర్గమస్లో పోలరైజేషన్ ఉన్నది. తర్వాత ఫిలడెల్ఫియా చాలా ప్యూర్ చర్చ్ గా ఉన్నది. లవదోషియా అది చాలా ప్యాసివ్ చర్చ్ గా ఉన్నది. సో ప్రాక్టికల్ గా రాసుకుంటూ వచ్చారు. దిస్ ఈజ్ యువర్ ప్రాబ్లం, దిస్ ఈజ్ యువర్ ప్రాబ్లం. సో ఎవ్రీ చర్చ్. సో ఈ 7 చర్చెస్ ఉన్నటువంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ లో ఏదో ఒక ప్రాబ్లం మనకున్నది. దో ఇట్ ఈస్ ప్రాక్టికలీ రిటన్ టు దెమ్, ఇట్ అప్లైస్ prophetically to us. It is written practically to them, but it applies prophetically to us. ఈ లెటర్స్ రాసినప్పుడు చివరి లెటర్ తర్వాత ఈ వర్స్ కనబడుతుంది. చెవులు కలిగిన వాడు వినును గాక. ఎందుకు ఆ మాట అన్నదంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ పర్సనల్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ప్రాక్టికల్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ప్రాఫిటికల్, ఇట్ ఈస్ పర్సనల్. అండ్ దిస్ ఈస్ ద లాస్ట్ లెటర్ ఆఫ్ జీసస్ క్రైస్ట్ టు ద చర్చ్. దీని తర్వాత జీసస్ క్రైస్ట్ చర్చ్ కి లెటర్ రాయాలి. సో దిస్ ఈస్ వెరీ పవర్ఫుల్. సో మై ఫ్రెండ్స్, we are looking at one of the last letter of Jesus Christ to the church. You and I, we are the church. He's writing to us. And when he writes, and when you don't listen to his words, I'm sorry. It's up to you. You are actually jumping out of a skyscraper foolishly. That's it. So in his kindness, in his grace, in his mercy, in his love, he's giving us several options, and this is probably the last one. So you need to take it. So of all these 7 churches, I picked up one church probably which applies the most to the people who are living in the Western world, at least the first world countries. First world countries లో లేకపోతే చాలా కాలంగా క్రిస్టియానిటీలో ఉన్నటువంటి వాళ్ళు, 2-3 generations నుంచి క్రిస్టియన్స్ గా ఉన్నటువంటి వాళ్ళు, చాలా చక్కగా అప్లై అయ్యేటువంటి చర్చ్, ద చర్చ్ ఆఫ్ లవదోషియా. ఆ చర్చ్ కి రాసినటువంటి లెటర్ చూడాలి అనిపించింది. బట్ బిఫోర్ వి గో ఇన్ టు ఇట్, ఐ టోల్డ్ యూ ద లెటర్స్ ఆర్ వెరీ ప్రాక్టికల్. Because it's very practical, we need to know its geography, its culture, its politics, because when Jesus wrote through John to that city, Laodicea, he wrote to its culture, he wrote to its history, he wrote to its religion, whatever it is. It's very practical, its geography. So అందుకనే we need to know a little bit about this city. So I was looking at this city, Laodicea, in the whole of Turkey. I googled it a lot. I could not find, and finally map వదిలేసి అంతా search చేస్తే అర్థమైంది. It is in the outskirts of a town called Honez, Honaz. Okay, that is the city where previously was this place called Laodicea. Okay, Laodicea was a city built by Antiochus II in 260 BC. And it was built in the name of his girlfriend. He loved her so much, so he built this city. And he married her. After marrying her for 18 months, they got some problem and he had to divorce her. But the city still bears her name, and she was holding that city, Laodicea. And it is a very powerful city. It's very powerful city because of 3 reasons. Reason number 1, it is powerful because of banking. It is a bank city. The reason is 3 main roads intersect in that city. One road come from Euphrates, one road come from Ephesus, and one road come from Smyrna. And these 3 roads meet up there in that city. So it's a banking city. It's a postal city. And all the marketing takes place in this city. That's number 1. The reason number 2 is black wool. Just outside this city, there is a mountain. On that mountain, black sheep grow, and because of that climate, the black sheep there have the fur which is very soft. Very soft. So the black wool there is shiny and very soft. So the material made out of that wool is very precious, and it is very expensive. So that's the second reason why this city is important. The third one, previously women used to have eye salve, kaatuku antaru kada, kaatuku, kallaka pettukuntaru, and not the pencil, not the present world pencil. I'm speaking about the old one. It's semi-solid like thing they apply. That's called eye salve. The first city in the world to make eye salve is Lavadosha. It used to solve many of the eye problems. Okay, many eye problems. So a lot of people used to come to this city to get their eyesight cleared by using this medicinal thing. And it used to make some medicine for the ear problem also. So that's the reason Lavadosha is a very powerful city. Lavadosha is very rich, very rich. And its riches can be understood by one thing. In the year 60 AD, there was an earthquake, and the whole city got demolished. Whole city. At that time, the emperor in Rome said, "Can I send some funds for you to rebuild the city?" The city council said, "We are sorry, we don't want. We will build ourselves." They built themselves. Within 9 years, they built themselves into a huge city. So that is a city that is self-sufficient. It is very beautiful city. So to that city, Jesus is writing a letter. Now, having given the background about the city, how the church came there. This church was not started by a big person whom we know, like Paul, John, or anybody like that. This church was started by a very small fellow. His name was Epaphras. Epaphras started the church. How Epaphras started this church? When Paul was in Ephesus, people in that vicinity, Bithynia and Asia Minor, they all used to go to Ephesus because of the temple, and Paul used to share the gospel. And when they hear the gospel, he used to say, "Hey, between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, I'll be at the town hall called Tyrannus. If anybody wants to know more about Jesus, you can come there." So they used to come there. And there he used to train them. And once they got trained, they used to go back and they used to preach at every place. Epaphras started churches in 3 places: Hierapolis, Colossae, and Lavadosha. In 3 places. Okay? And we can find it from Colossians, the letter to the Colossians. Paulu Colossae రాసినటువంటి పత్రికలో చూస్తాం. Okay? Paul did not visit Colossae. Paul did not visit Lavadosha. Paul did not visit Hierapolis. But he wrote letters. We have the letter of Paul to Colossae. But he also wrote a letter to Lavadosha. He also wrote it. ఎలా తెలుస్తుందంటే 4th chapter Colossae రాసిన పత్రిక 4th chapter 16th verse లో ఏమంటాడంటే, after you read this letter, you give this letter to Lavadosha. And you also read the letter I have sent them. అది ఎక్కడో పోయింది. దేవుడు మనకు వద్దనుకున్నాడు, అవసరం లేదనుకున్నాడు, కనబడకుండా చేశాడు. But whatever it is. So, that is the kind of a church. So, it was a very powerful church, growing church, and a church in a rich city. But that church is slowly going down. And that is why, through John, God had to write this. John was writing this in the year between 90 and 95. And this church was rebuilt in 79 AD. So, probably this church, as a rebuilt church, is about 20 or 25 years old. That's it. So, our church ki ee uttaraanni రాస్తాం. So, ఆ చర్చ్ కి రాసినటువంటి ఉత్తరాన్ని చదువుతున్నప్పుడు మన లైఫ్ గురించి మనం కూడా చూద్దాం. ఎందుకంటే the letter to this church is like a mirror where we can see ourselves. Okay? So, if you have your Bibles, open with me to book of Revelation, chapter 3, verses 14 to 22. ప్రకటన గ్రంథం 3వ అధ్యాయం 14 నుంచి 22వ వచనం. This is how I divided this passage from verse 14 to 22, so that we can easily understand. Verse 14, it speaks about the doctor. ఇది డయాగ్నోస్టిక్ అంటే డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్తే నీకు జబ్బే ఉంది అని చెప్తాడు. కాబట్టి సో మనం ఏ డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళాం అనేది 14వ వచనం. హూ ఇస్ ద డాక్టర్? Okay, the doctor, verse 14. Verse 15 to 18, we have the diagnosis. The doctor, the diagnosis. 19 to 22 is the drug. So that's how you can easily remember the doctor, the diagnosis, and the drug. Okay, so easy to remember. Okay, right? So let's look at the doctor first. Okay. And to the angel of the church in Laodicea write, the words of the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of God's creation. When you want to go to your doctor, you have certain symptoms, and based on the symptoms, you try to look at the doctor. If you have a headache and your eyes are pulling, you try to go to an ophthalmologist. Okay? Because he's the one who can check you. So, manakunnatuvanti symptoms ni batti, manakunnatuvanti problem ni batti, manamu kind of doctor దగ్గరికి వెళ్తాం. అంటే ఆ డాక్టర్కు ఉన్నటువంటి డిగ్రీస్ ఏంటి అనేది చూస్తాం. సో ఇప్పుడు మనకున్నటువంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్ని చెక్ చేయగలిగేటువంటి డాక్టర్ ఈయనే అంటానికి ఈయనకి 3 degrees ఇస్తున్నాడు. They are giving 3 degrees. What are the 3 degrees? The words of the Amen. That's his degree number 1. The words of the Amen. The word Amen, the Hebrew word Amen, comes from, again, a bigger Hebrew word called Amana. Amana is it's a word with multiple meanings. Chala meanings unnatundi. It's a big word, corporate word ananta. But it's a word that speaks one thing. Entante simple ga manaku ardham avalante that word means yes. Yes. Ante. That word means yes. అంటే ఏదైనా జరగాలంటే ఆయనే. ఏదైనా జరగాలంటే ఆయనే అంటానికి amen అనే మాట ఉంటుంది. For you to understand, I will make you to read one verse. From that you can easily understand. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 20. There you can understand what exactly this amen means. 2 Corinthians 1:20. For all the promises of God find their yes in Him. So look at that. Chala clear. For all the promises of God find their yes in Him. That is why it is through Him that we utter our amen to God for His glory. That's about Jesus. అంటే మనం ఏదైనా అడిగితే చేసేది ఆయన. సమస్తాన్ని చేసేవాడు అన్నమాట అర్థం amen అంటే. సమస్తాన్ని చేసేవాడు. He is the one who can do everything, anything in this world. That's the meaning of the word amen. And it speaks about his ability. Amen means the most able. That's what it means. He's the most able. If there is something Jesus cannot do, then it is either foolish or meaningless. Anything that is tangible, anything that is logical, anything that is viable is what he can do. That's the meaning of the word amen. And the second title that has been given to him is, he is the faithful and true witness. He's faithful. Amen speaks about his ability, and faithfulness speaks about his availability. He's able. At the same time, when he gives a word, he fulfills it. He's available. He comes to our level. He stands beside us. Witness is the one who is with us when the issue is happening. So he's witness. He's there with us. ఒకవేళ నువ్వు నరకానికి వెళ్ళినా, నువ్వు పరలోకానికి వెళ్ళినా, he's the only witness. నువ్వు పరలోకానికి ఎందుకు వెళ్ళావు అంటే బికాస్ he witnessed for you. నువ్వు నరకానికి ఎందుకు వెళ్ళావు తెలుసా? He witnessed against you. That's it. So he is the ultimate one who separates from this part to that part. So how do you look at him? Can you also look at him and say, yeah, he is my faithful amen? Can you say that? That's the most important. So he is the doctor. He is the one. And the third thing he says is, he is the beginning of the creation. That means he can do everything, he can do anything, and he is the one who did everything. He did everything. ఆయనే ఆరంభించిదంతా చేసుకుంటూ వచ్చాడు. ఆయనే ఆరంభించినవాడు. He is the beginner ఆల్ఫా ఒమేగా అని దీంట్లోనే ఉంటాడు. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద 3 degrees. ఈ 3 degrees చూస్తే మన డాక్టర్ ఎలాంటి వాడు అర్థమవుతుంది. ఆయన చెయ్యలేదంటూ ఏమీ లేదు, ఆయన చూడందంటూ ఏదీ లేదు, ఆయన ఆరంభించదంటూ ఏదీ లేదు. దెర్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ హీ కెనాట్ డూ, దెర్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ హీ విల్ నాట్ సీ, దెర్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ హీ హాజంట్ స్టార్టెడ్. These are the 3 titles about the doctor, Jesus Christ. So, having given the titles, now let's look at the diagnosis and the disease. Testing kellinappudu ayana cheptunadu, this is your problem, this is your disease ani cheptunadu. I know your works. It's something like this. When the doctor tests, it's something like this. For example, if there is an alcoholic person unnadu, వెళ్తారు, ఏమంటారంటే నాకు యూజువల్గా ఆల్కహాలిక్ అడిక్ట్స్కి వచ్చేటువంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్ స్టమక్ ఏక్ ఉంటుంది, అల్సర్ ఉంటుంది. సో యూజువల్గా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉంటాయి. సో డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు టెస్ట్ చేసిన తర్వాత అతను అడిగే క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటి తెలుసా, నువ్వు తాగుతావా అని అడుగుతావు. ఆయన ఏం పెద్ద ప్రాఫిట్ ఏం కాదు, నువ్వు తాగుతావా అంట. నువ్వు బాడీ చూడడానికి అర్థం ఏంటి, సిమ్టమ్స్ నువ్వు తాగేవాడివి. So that's how Jesus is speaking. Hello, నీ ఫేస్ చూస్తే నీ పనులు ఏంటో నాకు అర్థం అవుతుంది. I know your works. That's how he speaks. I know your works. You are neither cold nor hot. Would that you were either cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I'll spit you out of my mouth. Please look at these words. They are very rude. Chala rude ga unnai. Indecent words. Chala indecent. Very vulgar words, very bad words he is using. And these are the words of Jesus Christ. And if somebody is getting hurt, good. Something is working in it. It's good. You are at least sensitive to these scoldings. Inta tirte koncham pani chesinదనుకో. He is using very bad words. Aithe there is a reason behind using these words. ఏంటంటే, I told you all the great things about this city, Laodicea, but it has one problem, the problem of water. It doesn't have water. It has to depend on 2 cities for water. On its east is Hierapolis, on its west is Colossae. So it gets water from these 2 cities. 6 miles is Colossae, 8 miles is Hierapolis. So it gets water from these 2 cities. Aithe Colossae lo unde water cold untadi. It comes from the mountains and it is very cold. And that water is refreshing. It's used for drinking. Adi taagite kante chaala refreshing. Like it's mountain dew, Sprite, okay, something like that. It's very refreshing. So that's Colossae. Hierapolis water is a hot water, hot spring, like Rotorua in New Zealand, something like that. It's hot water. It's hot because of sulfur. The sulfur comes out with the water, so it's pretty hot. It's bubbling. That water, if it falls on your body, it cures skin diseases. So it's used as a medicinal bath. Okay? So the rich people in Laodicea, they don't want to go to Hierapolis for hot water or to Colossae for the cold water. So what they did is, they built pipelines and aqueducts from that city to get the water here. So cold water, Colossae lo start అవుతుంది, Laodicea వచ్చేప్పటికి వామ్ అయిపోతుంది, తాగితే రిఫ్రెషింగ్ గా ఉండదు. హీరోపోలిలో హాట్ వాటర్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది, అది ఇక్కడికి వచ్చేటప్పటికి వామ్ అవుతుంది, అది పనికి బాగుంది. So the water which was healing, having the healing effect in Hierapolis, becomes useless in Laodicea. The cold water in Colossae that was very refreshing becomes useless when it reaches here. So our water ఎవరైనా తాగితే and they will immediately vomit it out. That's what Jesus is using. I want to vomit out. It's not spitting. The word spit is the wrong translation. He was using the word I want to vomit out. It's a very bad word. The reason is, you are neither hot nor cold. What he means to say is, you are useless.
That's what he says. You are useless. If I have to explain what's the agony of Jesus Christ, I can make you to understand like this. There are three kinds of objects. Three kinds of objects. Object number one, which is working very well. For example, this is the mic, and this is working. It's no problem. I can use it. But if the mic is not working at all, I can understand it's not working at all, I will leave it. But if the person says it is working, but you try, it doesn't work, it frustrates you. Got it? Spoiled car ఉందనుకోండి, పనిచేయదు వదిలే అంటారు. పనిచేస్తున్న కారు ఉందనుకోండి, అరే ఎక్కడా పోతుంది అని అంటారు. పనిచేస్తున్నాను ఎక్కువ కూర్చున్నాను నడిపితే వెళ్ళకపోతే, you bang the steering. That's what Jesus is doing. You say it's working, and I sit and I try to drive, it's not moving, man. You are neither hot nor cold. If you are hot, you will be moving. If you are cold, you will be saying it's out of order. But you are having a board, I'm working, but you are not moving. Got it now? You say that you are a Christian, but there is no Christianity in you. You say that you belong to Christ, but you don't have a place for me there. I'm so angry with you. I'm so angry with you. And what is this warmness and what is this coldness? I can give you biblical references. Like, you remember Jesus Christ rose again on Sunday morning, and that evening, somewhere in the afternoon, he was going to Emmaus with two guys, okay? And they were asking Jesus Christ all questions, and he was trying to answer. Towards the end, they reached the town, and they said, have bread with us. He takes the bread and breaks it and lifts it and prays. Then they realize that this is Jesus, and he immediately vanishes off. And at that time, they make a statement. ఏమన్నా తెలుసా? అరే ఆయన మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు మన హృదయం మండట్లేదా అని అంటాడు. మండుతుంది. It's warm. When God is active in your soul, your heart will be hot. That is what it means by hot. Your heart. So that is what he's speaking about hot. Matthew 24:12 లో అంత్య దినాలలో చాలా మంది చెడుపుడు మాటలు వాటికి చల్లారిపోతుంటారు. That's coolness. Cool people అయిపోయింది, వదిలేశారు. హాట్ పీపుల్ హ్యాపీ యూ కెన్ యూజ్. లూక్ వామ్ పీపుల్ ఏం చేయాలో అర్థం కాదు. ఐ థింక్ లూక్ వామ్ పీపుల్ ఉండేది చర్చ్లో. దేవుడికి కొంతమందిని చూస్తే కనుక కోపం వస్తుంది, కొంతమందిని చూస్తే బాధ వేస్తుంది, కొంతమందిని చూస్తే ఉమ్మేయాలనిపిస్తుంది. కోపం వచ్చేది ఎవరి మీద తెలుసా? పరిసయ్యులు, సద్దూకయ్యులు ఉంటారు కదా. వాళ్ళకి నాలెడ్జ్ ఉన్నది, ఆత్మీయత ఏముండదు. They have a lot of knowledge, but they don't have spirituality. God becomes angry with them. ఏసైకి ఏడుపు వస్తుంది. ఎవరిని చూస్తే తెలుసా? అన్యుని చూస్తే, అరే ఇంకా స్వార్థ తెలియలేదు అని ఏడుపు వస్తుంది. కానీ మనలాంటి వాడు చూస్తే ఆయనకి ఏడుపు రాదు, కోపం రాదు, ఉమ్మేయాలనిపిస్తుంది. ఇంకెన్నిసార్లు చెప్పాలి నీకు? ఎంతమందిని పంపించాలి నీ దగ్గర? ఇంకేం చేయాలి నేను చెప్పను? What should I do? Who else should come to you? How many things I should tell you? How many times I should tell you? How many ways I should tell you? I did everything possible and you don't move. I feel like vomiting on you. They lost vigor. They lost vigor. Vedini kolpayaru. They lost vigor. Andukane he uses that term. Telugulo cheppalante నీ క్రియలు నేను ఎరుగును, నువ్వు చల్లగా నేను వెచ్చగా నేను లేవు. నీవు చల్లగా నేను వెచ్చగా నేను ఉండినే మేలు, నువ్వు వెచ్చగా నేను చల్లగా నేను ఉండక నువ్వెచ్చగా ఉన్నావు గనక నేను నిన్ను నా నోట నుండి ఉమ్ము వేయని ఉద్దేశించున్నాను. చాలా మందికి ఈ వర్డ్ చదివినప్పుడు చల్లగా ఉంటే మేలు అంటున్నాడు ఏంటి అని డౌట్ వస్తుంది. He's not speaking about spiritual coolness there. He's speaking about the Colossus refreshing cool water. If you know the geography, then only you can understand this verse, or else you can misunderstand. So, manakuన్న అండర్స్టాండింగ్ అంటే కూల్ అంటే కనుక అస్సలు ఆత్మీయత లేని వాళ్ళు, హాట్ అంటే కనుక చాలా ఆత్మీయంగా ఉన్నవాడు. జీసస్ క్రైస్ట్ అటైనా ఇటైనా పర్లేదు అన్నాడు, కాబట్టి నేను ఇటు ఉంటానంటే that doesn't work. So that Colossi water గురించి ఆయన ఆ విధంగా మాట్లాడుతున్నాడు. They lost the vigor. That's what he's saying. The second thing what he says is verse 17. For you say I am rich. Yes, they are rich because of banking. They are rich because of black wool. They are rich because of black eye salve. 3 B's. They are rich. Banking ఎందుకు అంత ఫ్లరిషింగ్ అంటే, in those days the banking concept is gold. They used to have huge gold reserves in that city. Huge gold reserves. Andikane the banking was very much flourishing there. They were having that. So to that city he is writing. For you say I am rich, I have prospered, I need nothing. Emperor ki letter rasaru, నాకు డబ్బులు అవసరం లేదు. నువ్వు రాసావు కదా లెటర్, నాకేం అవసరం లేదు, నువ్వు కట్టేసుకున్నావు కదా సిటీ. Yeah, I know that. Not realizing that you are wretched, pitiable, poor, blind and naked. ఎన్ని బూతులు తింటాడు చూడండి. మీకు ఇంగ్లీష్లో తిరిగితే బాగుందేమో, తెలుగులో చదువుతాను. నువ్వు దౌర్భాగ్యుడు, దిక్కుమాలిన వాడు, దరిద్రుడివి, గుడ్డివాడివి, దిగంబరుడివి అయి ఉన్నావని ఎరుగక. ఎన్ని బూతులు తింటాడు చూడండి. And from the holy mouth of Jesus Christ these words have come. Probably John రాసేటప్పుడు మొదటి తిట్టు తిరగానే దౌర్భాగ్యుడి, మళ్ళీ నెక్స్ట్ దిక్కుమా, రెండో తిట్టు కూడా అవసరం, దరిద్రుడు అది కూడా అవసరం, దిగంబరుడి. How angry he was. You can see that. ఎంత కోపం ఉన్నదో చూడండి. ఆయన అన్నాడు, you are wretched, pitiable, poor, blind and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire. నీకు చాలా గోల్డ్ ఉంది కదా, అది పనిమాల గోల్డ్, నేను రిఫైన్డ్ గోల్డ్ ఇస్తాను. See, you have acquired property through illegal means. You have acquired property without having values. You not only lost vigor, you also lost values. You don't have value now. చాలా గోల్డ్ ఉంది, ఎందుకు పనికి వస్తుంది, ఎందుకు పనికి రాదు. Then so that you may be rich, and white garments so that you may clothe yourself. వాళ్ళు బ్లాక్ వూల్ క్లోత్స్ తయారు చేస్తారు కదా, ఏమన్నారు సార్, నేను వైట్ గార్మెంట్స్ ఇస్తాను. See, అంటే he speaks exactly to the geography. నీకు చాలా కాస్ట్లీ క్లోత్ ఉంది కానీ ఏం లాభం, సిగ్గులేదు, బట్టలు ఇప్పేసుకొని తిరుగుతున్నాను. There was a story when I was studying 8th grade, I think. I read this story. I don't know how many of you remember. I forgot the name of the king. There used to be a very proud king, and he wanted 2 tailors to make very precious clothes. దునియాలో ఎప్పటి వేసుకొని బట్టలు నాకు కుట్టియమంటాడు. అంటే వాళ్ళు చాలా టైం పడుతుంది దానికి, పట్టి వాళ్ళు డ్రెస్ కొడతారు. రాజుగారు రండి అని అంటాడు. లోన రూమ్ లో మీకు డ్రెస్ పెట్టాం, ఆ హ్యాంగర్ తగిలించి ఉంటుంది, అది వేసుకోండి, వేసుకొని బయట రండి. అయితే ఒక్క మాట, రాజుగారు ఆ బట్టలు కేవలం నీతి మంతులకే కనబడతాయి. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ రైచస్ దెన్ ఓన్లీ యూ కెన్ సీ అని అంటాడు. రాజుగారు లోనకి వెళ్తే బట్టలు కనబడలేదంటే ఈ నీతి మంతులు కాదని అర్థమైపోతాయి. సో ఆయన డ్రామా బట్టలు నిప్పేసేసి బయటకు వచ్చేస్తాడు, బట్టలు లేకుండా. బాగుంది డ్రెస్ అని ఉంటాడు, అంటే దానికి బాగుంటాడు. రాజుగారు బట్టలు లేకుండా రోడ్డు మీద తిరుగుతూ ఉంటాడు. దే మేక్ ఎన్ అనౌన్స్మెంట్, ఓన్లీ నీతి మంతులకే ఈ బట్టలు కనబడతాయి. ఎప్పుడు మాట్లాడు, ఎందుకంటే మాట్లాడితే నీతి మంతులు కాదు. రోడ్డు మీద బట్టలు లేకుండా తిరుగుతూ ఉంటాడు. తిరుగుతూ ఉంటే చిన్న కుర్రాడు, యూజువల్లీ స్మాల్ కిడ్స్ దే జస్ట్ స్పీక్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ ఇగ్నరెన్స్, బట్ ignorance usually brings out truth. బట్టలే ఉడికాను. So that's the kind of life they were living, Like they think they are dressed up, but totally they are undressed. They lost the value. వాళ్ళు విలువ లేనటువంటి జీవితాన్ని జీవిస్తాను. They lost the value. Now let's think about our lifestyle. What we value most in this world. What we value most. I was listening to one of the messages of Ravi Zach. He was speaking about value system, and he spoke about a very renowned journalist in USA. And that renowned journalist was covering the story of a celebrity who was celebrating her birthday. She is a very gorgeous lady, beautiful lady, and she's very rich and she's very popular. So he was covering the story of her birthday bash. So he goes to her and asks a couple of questions, and he asks her one question. Can you spend an hour with me in the bedroom? He says. And that lady looks at the journalist and says, what? What nonsense you are speaking? What do you think of me? What do you think of me? No. If you spend an hour with me, I thought of giving you $1 million. Do you know what she says? Oh, can we go after the party? Now tell me, what she values?
Money.
It's money, not the morals. It's the money, not the morals. What you value most? For some people, it's publicity. For some people, people's appreciation. For some people, it's their property. For some people, it's their bank balance. What you value most? That's very important. What you value most. And if you're valuing these things, you'll be craving only for that. And these people, this city, they valued the gold, they valued the wool, they valued the medicine they had, and they acquired all of it and they thought, cool, I have everything. And then he says, I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire, so that you may be rich, and white garments so that you may clothe yourself, and the shame of your nakedness may not be seen, and salve to anoint your eyes so that you may see. They lost the vision also. They lost the vision. What do you mean by losing the vision? Vision, if you belong to God, it comes from God. The way God looks at, you will be looking at the situation. The way God looks at, you will be looking at people. I always give this kind of example so that people can easily understand what is godly vision. Just imagine you are sitting in a crowd, okay? And one dirty beggar who is having really dirty clothes and stinking, probably his hands are having all kinds of nuggets and all those things. He's coming to you. What do you try to say? Hey, get away! That's how you will react. It's natural. I'm not saying that you should embrace him or hold him on, but that's natural. That's natural. You will say, hey, get lost. What is this smell? I can't bear. That's how you react. But imagine next to you is Mother Teresa. She won't do that. She won't do that. She looks at that guy as an opportunity. She looks at that guy as a ministry. He looks at that guy as a privilege that God has given. That's how she looks. That's called vision. When you have vision from God, you will be a useful person in this world. Are you useful in any way to this world? Don't say, I'm going to church every Sunday. You're going to church for your sake. That's all. When you come to a meeting like this, what do you get? You get. No other people get anything out of you. You can be useful when you learn something here and do something outside. Or project something outside. Show something outside. Display something outside. Perform something outside. This is only a training ground. You need to be outside, useful outside. Rebecca Pippett, she wrote a beautiful book, Out of the Salt Shaker. She writes it very beautifully. Salt in the shaker is of no use. It has to be shaken on the thing which you want to eat. You are the salt. You need to be rubbed to the world. If you have lost the value, nobody can take you in. If you have lost the value. They lost the vigor, they have lost the value, they have lost the vision. They have lost the vision. And ultimately, they lost the vesture also, that is the clothes. They became naked, and people look at them as shameful creatures. Let me tell you one thing. A Christian who is totally under the control of the divine person, he might be mocked by everybody, but he's not bothered. Example, Stephen. Stephen ని అందరూ చూసి రాళ్ళు వేసి కొడతా ఉన్నారు. ఎవరికైనా సరే ఆ మూమెంట్లో ఏమొస్తుంది? బాధ అనిపిస్తుంది, కోపం వస్తుంది. రాళ్ళు వేసి కొట్టేవాళ్ళని తిడతారు, అరుస్తారు. But Stephen is least bothered. He looks up and says, Father, I'm coming there, forgive them. That's how you react. When people look at you, show fingers, you are least bothered. You look at them in a different perspective. But if you are not in God, if somebody mocks at you, if somebody questions you, you feel so intimidated. You are too much worried. Ultimately, you are worried about yourself. That's the city. If you are in that category, probably this is the diagnosis. Let me tell you one thing. At two places, anyone should be truthful. One is when you go to your doctor. If you are not truthful, he cannot diagnose. Number two, the lawyer. If you are not truthful, you will be caught. But let me tell you one thing. There is a third place. You have to be even more truthful. That's in the presence of God. Presence of God. You need to be truthful about yourself. Look at yourself as in a mirror. That's what it says. That's the diagnosis. He uses the word like this: I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire. I was looking at that word, why God is using the word buy. If you have to buy, we need to have some currency. So to whom I should give money? That's what. If you look at Isaiah chapter 55, he says, దప్పిగొను వారలారా నా యొద్దకు రండి, రూకలు లేకయే నా దగ్గరకు రండి. రూకలు అంటే money. You don't have money, but buy for me. I was actually looking into this concept. Why no money is there, but buy, the word buy is there. For example, if somebody gives me something freely, I can only say it was gifted by him. But if I buy it, I'll say this is mine. When you purchase it, the ownership transfers. It's mine. So he says, you own it. No need to pay. You own it. No need to pay. That's the meaning. So we need to own the righteousness. We need to own the vision. We need to own the value system. And that actually gives the value. And having and shame of your nakedness may not be seen, and salve to enhance your eyes so that you may see. You are not able to see. You have lost the vision. You have lost the value system. So this is the diagnosis. The doctor, the diagnosis. And now I'm coming to the drug. Verse 19. Those whom I love, I reprove and discipline. This is an explanation. బాగా తిట్టాడు కదా, అందుకని నేను కొంచెం చిన్నగా కవరింగ్ ఇస్తున్నాను. He scolded very badly, very bad words. That's why he's trying to cover it up. Hey, I love you so much, ma. That's why I'm scolding. If I decided to leave you, I would have said, get lost. But I love you so much, that's why I'm disciplined. Now, I'm not only taking from that perspective, but if you look into the whole scriptural realm, when God decided to give up, that means there is no hope. When God is controlling somebody, He uses reproof, punishment, whatever it is, to bring back that person. And that's why we have that word. If God loves somebody, He disciplines. దేవుడు ఎవరినైనా ప్రేమిస్తే వాడిని క్రమశిక్షణలో పెడతాడు. ఇప్పుడు if there is somebody who is continuously disturbing, వాడిని కరెక్ట్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేసినాం అనుకోండి, ఏమంటుంది? అని వదిలేయండి సార్, వాడు కరెక్ట్ కాదు. దట్స్ ద వర్డ్ యూస్. అని వదిలేయండి సార్, వాడు కరెక్ట్ కాదు. God also sometimes leaves. Leave that fellow. God leaves cultures, God leaves countries, God leaves situations up. He gives up. For example, God gave up Australia a year ago as far as gay marriage is concerned. Alright? God gave up India a couple of months ago as far as gay marriage is concerned. Till that time he was trying to hold it. They said, we want it. And he said, okay, take it off. He left it. That's it. So that's about a culture, that's about a country, that's about a community. It can happen with a family, it can happen with an individual also. When you want to do something repeatedly, asking God, I want to do it. When you're striving to do it, God stops it several times. You're not trying to hold, then He says, get lost. Do what you want. But if you are able to feel the pain, if you are able to feel something is holding you back, thank God. You are still in the hold. Okay? Those whom I love, I reprove and discipline. So be zealous and repent. That is the exhortation. Be zealous and repent. No, if you have found these verses to be so much disturbing, thank God. If you just imagine or introspected your lives and come to a conclusion, yeah, probably this applies to me. Good. It's working. You need to have zeal to get right. Zeal speaks about passion. Repentance speaks about intelligent decision. You need to be passionate to come to Christ, and you need to be very clever to come to Christ. You need to be intelligent. Well, this is where I need to stop. This is what I need to hold on. Repent. Change your direction. Change your lifestyle. Change your methodology. Change your everything. Whatever God is correcting you. And then here comes the most stunning invitation. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. To whom he is writing? To a church. He is writing this to a church. This is not evangelistic. Please. This is not evangelistic. This is writing to a church. The church that bears the name of Jesus Christ. He is writing to that church. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. What a horrible thing it is. You have the name of Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ is outside. Horrible. You have thrown me out. Till you have built it, you had my name, and once you finished it, you threw me out. I've seen several people doing this. They come to me saying, I have this problem, can you solve it? I have this disease, can you pray for it? I have this issue, can you pray for me? And when we pray, God resolves it usually. Many of them, they don't even come back to say, thank you. I don't mean they should thank me, but they should thank God with me, because I pray with them. I prayed with them. I've seen several people. Horrible. And Jesus gave this ultimate example. There were 10 leprous people who came to him and said, we are having leprosy. Jesus said, go to that pool and get yourself clean. And all of them got healed. You know, only one Samaritan. Only one Samaritan. He's not a Jew. He's a Samaritan. He comes and says, thank you. They throw you out. For a lot of people, God is like an ATM. Anytime miracle. Yeah. If I want a miracle, I'll come to God. And once the miracle is over, password is also lost. They'll go for an OTP. Yeah. That's what we do. We lost. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, even horrible it is. You not only threw me out, that you don't even bother to listen to my voice when I'm screaming. Innovartunda? Neena arustuna? Innovartunda? Innovarthe jarati. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him, and he with me. I like it so much. నేను లోనకు వచ్చి నీ సంగతి చెప్తా అని అంటున్నాడు ఆయన. See how loving he is. నేను లోనకు వస్తే మనం కలిసి భోంచేద్దాం. How loving it is. My friends, that is a very warm welcome. It is a very cozy invitation. Hey, if you invite me, I'm not going to scold you. I'm not going to threaten you. I'm not going to ask you questions. What I will do is I'll eat with you. That's it. I'll eat with you. The fellowship with me makes you hot. That's it. It makes you warm. Okay? And he with me. The one who conquers, I'll grant him to sit with me in my throne, as I also conquered and sat down with my Father on his throne. Isn't that beautiful? If you are able to conquer this hurdle, you can sit with Jesus Christ. If you are not able to conquer, I don't want to finish it. Very clear words. Very clear words. There is no ambiguity. Perfect. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. If you are able to hear these words, and if they meant something to you, and if you think that you are living a lukewarm life, please, please, God has done enough to you. God has done enough to you. He wants you to come to the next level. He has given you a lot of resources. He has given you a lot of input. And he wants you to come to the next level. If you are not moving, he says, the most horrible thing, I want to vomit on you. My friends, what kind of life we are living? Are we living a cold, refreshing life for the sake of others? Or a hot life that can heal others? If it is neither cold nor hot, it's useless. Shall we look to the Lord in prayer? We'll be silent for a minute. Just introspect our lives based on the word that has come to us. It's not only practical to them, but it's also practical to us, I believe. So it is prophetical. It is very personal to us, as if Jesus is standing beside us, looking at our lifestyle in this 21st century and writing to this situation. Think about your life personally. Think about your family. What is making you to become lukewarm? Have you killed all the resources that God has given you? The water in Hierapolis was full of sulfur and hot that was able to heal many diseases. God might have given you talents. God might have given you gifts. God might have given you abilities. And probably you are not using them. Probably you have hidden them. And they lost the vigor. They lost the value. Some of you were given the gift of faith, gift of prayer, gift of comforting somebody, gift of kind words. But you never used the abilities God has given you. And they lost that refreshing ability. God feels sorry. God gave Israel all the resources so that they might be useful to the rest of the world. But when they themselves were useless, he became so angry. So angry. The same applies to the church today. The same applies to you and to me today. If there is anything which you need to get rectified, you can do it in the presence of God. Father, we thank you so much for this evening. Jesus, we love you so much. You're so loving in spite of our unfaithfulness, in spite of our wretchedness, in spite of our nudity, you still love us. You still want to clothe us with your righteousness. You want to give us value. You want to give us vision. You want to give us the vigor so that we can be useful to your Master. Lord, I want to commit this small group into your hands, O Lord. You always use a minor group to reach a major place. Lord, in this city, you wanted these people to be your remnant witnesses, O Lord. Even as you spoke, O Lord, may the Spirit speak to their hearts, O Master. We commit each and every individual into your hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
ఏంటంటే ఇదే ప్రకటన 3:20 మీద 1977 14 నవంబర్ 77లో నేను రక్షింపబడి ఇదే వాక్యం ద్వారా. అప్పుడు కూడా ఏమిటంటే నీవు దిగంబరుడు, నీవు గుడ్డివాడు, దరిద్రుడు అన్న దీంతో మాట్లాడుతూ ఆఖరికి ఎవరైనా ఇక్కడ ఉన్నారా అని హెబ్రోన్ కాన్వకేషన్లో అయినప్పుడు దాని ద్వారా నేను రక్షింపబడిన వర్తమానం. అది నేను అన్నకి చెప్పలేదు, కానీ నేను అడిగింది వేరు. కాకపోతే ఆయన ఇదే ఎందుకు చెప్పారు అని ఇప్పుడు అనుకున్నప్పుడు దేవుడు ఏంటంటే రక్షింపబడిన తర్వాత నేనేమైనా ఎవరికైనా ఉపయోగంగా ఉన్నానా అనేసి మరలా అది రీకలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవటానికి, తర్వాత అప్పుడు రక్షింపబడిన దినాన్ని ఏ విధంగా అయితే ఒప్పుకోలు ఉందేనో అన్నది రీకలెక్ట్ చేసుకొని దేవుని క్షమాపణ అడగడానికి ఈ విధంగా దేవుడు మాట్లాడతాడు అనేసి అర్థం అవుతుంది నాకు. ఏంటంటే థ్యాంక్స్ వెరీ మచ్ అన్న. ఏంటంటే దీని ద్వారా మళ్ళా ఎక్కడైతే తప్పిపోయామో తిరిగి సమకూర్చబడడానికి దేవుడు మాట్లాడాడు అనేసి అనుకుంటున్నాను. ఈ యొక్క సాయంకాల సమయంలో వచ్చిన ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి వందనాలు. ఇప్పుడు పీటర్ గారు ప్రార్థన చేసి మనము విల్ హ్యావ్ ఫుడ్ ఫర్ ఎవరివన్. డోంట్ లేట్ అయిపోయిందని ఎవరు తొందరపడి ఇచ్చేయొద్దు. ఎవరికైనా ప్రార్థన చేయించుకోవాలని నీడు అది ఉంటే బ్రదర్ కూడా ఇక్కడే ఉంటారు. ఎంత టైం అయినా పర్వాలేదు, దానికి ఏమీ ఇది లేదు. ఎందుకంటే ప్రత్యేకంగా లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ బ్రదర్ మా ఇంటికి వచ్చినప్పుడు కొన్ని సమస్యలు బ్రదర్ చెప్పి ప్రార్థన చేయించుకున్నప్పుడు అది ఎంతో అది మళ్ళా ఆయన వచ్చేటప్పటికల్లా అవన్నీ సఫలమైంది. ఆ అనుభూతి మేము పొందాం. అందుచేత ఏంటంటే ఈ విధంగా చిన్న థ్యాంక్స్ గివింగ్లా పెట్టుకోవాలి అనేసి ఈసారి అనుకొని, అంటే ఈసారి మేము 100% ఇది తీసుకోలేదు, తెలుగు చర్చ్ వాళ్ళు తీసుకున్నారు. కాకపోతే ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళు మాకు 2 రోజులు ఇచ్చారు. అందులో ఏంటంటే దాన్ని యూటిలైజ్ చేసుకుందాం. ఏంటంటే దేవుడు చేసిన మేలును మరవకుండా ఏంటంటే ఆయన ద్వారా ఏంటంటే మేము పొందిన మేళ్ళు అవి చేయాలి అనేసి కృతజ్ఞత చెల్లించాలని ఈ విధంగా కూడుకోవటానికి జరగడం అయింది. ముఖ్యంగా ఏంటంటే నేను పొందిన రక్షణలోని మళ్ళా ఎక్కడ తప్పిపోయాని గుర్తింపు కలిగి రీకలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవటానికి అది ముఖ్యంగా జరిగినందుకు దేవునికి వందనాలు చెల్లిస్తున్నాను. ఇప్పుడు పీటర్ గారి ప్రార్థనతో మనం
మా ప్రభువైన దేవా, కృపగల తండ్రి, ఆశ్చర్యకరుడ, ఆలోచనకర్త, మీ యొక్క మహాకృపను బట్టి మా హృదయములను ఈ తలుపుల వద్ద మమ్మల్ని మీ యొక్క మహాకృపను బట్టి తలుచున్న దేవా, మీకు కృతజ్ఞతాస్తుతులు. ఇక్కడ చేరిన ప్రతి వారిని మీ యొక్క మహిమను బట్టి మీ కృపతో మీ యొక్క ఆశ్చర్యకరమైన కార్యంతో మా హృదయములను తెరిచి మేము నిన్ను మా హృదయంలోనికి రానివ్వడానికి మాకున్నటువంటి మూర్ఖతను మరి మా దగ్గర నుంచి తొలగించి మేము మా హృదయపూర్వకంగా అంగీకరించడానికి నీ కృపను అనుగ్రహించమని వేడుకొంటున్నాం. సర్వశక్తిమంతుడా, కృపగల దేవా తండ్రి నాయన, మరి ఇక్కడ చేరిన ప్రతి బిడ్డకు నీ యొక్క దీవెన ఆశీర్వాదము ముఖ్య ముఖ్యముగా నీ వాక్యమును అర్థం చేసుకుంటానికి నీ దాసుని ద్వారా ఇక్కడ మా అందరకు ఇచ్చినటువంటి గొప్ప అనుభవం బట్టి నీకు కృతజ్ఞతాస్తుతులు. నాయన మరి ఆయన ఆశీర్వదించి దీవించి ఆయన మరి ఎక్కువగా మీ అందరి విశ్వాసంతో అనేకమైనటువంటి స్థలములలో నీ వాక్యమును ప్రచురించడానికి ఆయనకు శక్తిని ఇవ్వమని, తన కుటుంబం ఆశీర్వదించి దీవించమని నాయన మరి ఇక్కడ నాయన ఆయన ఆహ్వానించినటువంటి కుటుంబం ఆశీర్వదించమని, ఇక్కడికి వచ్చినటువంటి ప్రతి వ్యక్తిని నీ యొక్క కృపను బట్టి వారి జీవితంలో ఒక గొప్ప మలుపుగా ఈ సమయం చేయమని వేడుకొంటున్నాం. ఇదిగో నాయన ఇక్కడ నీ దాసుడు మరి నీ చెప్పినటువంటి మాట ప్రకారంగా తను నీ వద్దకు రావడానికి, నీ యొక్క కృప పొందడానికి, నిన్ను అంగీకరించడానికి ఇచ్చినటువంటి ఆ గొప్ప వాక్యమును తనకు తెలియకుండా తనకు ఇచ్చినటువంటి యొక్క సాదృశ్యమును బట్టి మేమందరం కూడా ఇదంతా మాకు కూడా ఒక్కరము ఇది నీ యొక్క కృపను బట్టి జరిగినదిగా మేము భావించి మేము సంతోషంతో నిన్ను అంగీకరించడానికి నీ కృపా దయాక్షేమములను అనుగ్రహించమని, నీ కృపతో నాయన ఇక్కడ వచ్చినటువంటి ప్రతి వ్యక్తికి నీ యొక్క దీవెనలు అంచుల వరకు దిగజారినట్లుగా చేసి యథార్థవంతులుగా ఉండి నిన్ను అంగీకరించడానికి నీ కృపా సమాధానములను అనుగ్రహించమని, నీ దీవెనతో నాయన మరి వారి వారి స్థలములకు మరలా తిరిగి వెళ్ళడానికి ముఖ్యముగా నాయన నిన్ను మరిచిపోకుండా ఎల్లప్పుడూ వెలుగు జీవితాల వలె వీరు అనేక మందికి ఉపయోగపడినట్లుగా మమ్మల్ని అందరినీ కూడా నీ కృపతో నడిపించమని, మేము ఎల్లప్పుడూ అంగీకరించడానికి మా హృదయములను ఎల్లప్పుడూ నీ అందరి విశ్వాసంతో ఉండటానికి అంగీకరించమని యేసుక్రీస్తు నామమున వేడుకొంటున్నాము.
కొద్ది ఒక 5 minutes టైం